August 1566. In less than 60 days, more than 400 churches were attacked. Their statues were smashed and their art destroyed. Not by enemies of Christianity, but by Christians. This wasn't a minor disagreement. It caused wars, erased centuries of art, and still divides more than 1 billion believers today. So before choosing a side, listen to both. Catholics argue that a statue is not God. It's a reminder, like a family photograph. Protestants respond that God explicitly forbade images. End of discussion. So who's right? Let's begin with the Catholic argument, and then the Protestant response that calls it theological deception. Catholics make a distinction that is central to their theology. Only God receives worship, known as latria. Saints receive veneration, called dulia. Mary receives a special veneration, hyperdulia, but never worship. So when a Catholic kisses a statue, they are not worshiping stone. They are honoring the person represented. The Catechism explains that the honor given to an image passes to the person depicted. It's the same logic as kissing a photo of someone you love. You don't love the paper. You love the person. Protestants reject this distinction and read the Second Commandment literally. Do not make images. Do not bow to them. For them, that's enough. John Calvin was blunt. He said that the moment a statue enters a church, a banner of idolatry has been raised. Protestants argue that Scripture never separates worship from veneration. That distinction appears later, not in the Bible. The commandment simply forbids images. So what did the Reformers do? They removed what they believed was institutionalized idolatry, physically. The Beeldenstorm, the storm of images, wasn't theory. It was action. Statues were smashed, altarpieces burned, stained glass shattered, and golden reliquaries looted. For Protestants, this was obedience to God's command. For Catholics, it was cultural destruction. Catholics go deeper and point to the Incarnation. Before Christ, God was invisible, which is why images were forbidden. Deuteronomy says it clearly, "You saw no form." But in Jesus Christ, God became visible. Colossians calls Christ the image of the invisible God. John of Damascus explained it this way: before, God could not be represented, but now God has appeared in the flesh, so we represent what is visible. For Catholics, banning images of Christ denies his true humanity. Images don't weaken Christianity. They affirm its core belief. Protestants answer immediately. Acts 17 says that God is not like gold, silver, or stone, an image made by human hands. That verse comes after the Incarnation, so the prohibition still stands. Deuteronomy also warns that you saw no form, so that you would not make images. Why? Because the danger never disappears. Protestants argue the ban was permanent protection against idolatry. They also point to history. Early Christians avoided images for centuries, using symbols instead: fish, anchors, bread. Very few images of Christ appear before the 4th century. Catholics also argue from practical reality. In the Middle Ages, most people couldn't read, up to 95% of the population. Most never saw a Bible because books were rare and expensive. Images became education. Stained glass, paintings, and statues functioned as the Bible of the poor. You could walk into a cathedral and see the faith, the birth of Christ, the crucifixion, the final judgment, and the lives of the saints. Pope Gregory the Great said that images teach the illiterate what writing teaches readers. For Catholics, images were not decoration. They were theology made visible. Protestants focus on what actually happens in practice. Statues are kissed until they wear down. People bury statues of St. Joseph upside down to sell houses faster. Miracles become tied to specific objects. They argue this is no longer teaching. It's idolatry. They point to Scripture. The bronze serpent made by Moses was commanded by God and later destroyed because people started worshiping it. For Protestants, the lesson is obvious. Images always drift toward idolatry. It starts as veneration and ends as worship. The debate didn't stay theoretical. It became physical across Europe in just a few months. Over 400 churches were destroyed. In Antwerp, priceless altarpieces vanished overnight. In Utrecht, believers buried stained glass underground to save it. In Canterbury, the shrine of Thomas Becket was erased after 4 centuries of pilgrimage. Records say 9 carts were needed to remove the gold. This wasn't just theology, it was history, art, and architecture. For Protestants, purification. For Catholics, irreversible loss. Catholicism responded with the opposite approach. If Protestant worship became austere, Catholic worship became immersive. The Baroque era was born. Bernini sculpted mystical ecstasy. Caravaggio painted divine light-piercing darkness. Jesuit churches engaged every sense. The idea was simple. Protestantism focuses on the word heard. Catholicism engages the whole person: sight, sound, smell, and touch. Not just learning the faith, but experiencing it. 500 years later, the divide remains. Enter a Catholic church and you see statues, stained glass, candles, and a crucifix with Christ's body. Enter a Reformed Protestant church and you find plain walls, an empty cross, and a central pulpit. Same God, same Bible, same Christ, different theology made visible. And it all comes back to one question: is a statue a window to heaven or a forbidden idol? Catholics say veneration is not worship, and that the Incarnation makes images legitimate. Protestants reply that veneration is simply refined idolatry, and that the commandment is clear. Both quote Scripture. Both have centuries of arguments. So now it's your turn. Is it a window to heaven or a forbidden idol? And if there's an argument I missed, drop it below. I'm reading everything. If you want to go deeper into why Catholics and Protestants still disagree, not just about images, but about papal authority, the role of Mary, and even salvation itself, then your next step is this video. Catholics versus Protestants: 10 differences that divided Christianity. In that episode, we break down 10 concrete differences that shaped the history of the West, from Scripture versus tradition to how each side understands the very foundations of how we are saved. Click here to keep exploring how one faith produced 2 very different worlds. And if you want more documentaries where faith meets facts, don't forget to subscribe. This is Across Beliefs. See you in the next video.